are Tiffany Cole, now 33, Amelia Carr, now 30.
In a few hours, the Florida Supreme Court will hear arguments from the attorneys for a woman who is now on death row for the 2005 slaying of a Jacksonville couple. They are Amelia Carr and Tiffany Cole, both of whom have reached the age of 30. Two young women who committed two separate crimes and had two separate lives entered the room while smiling and waving like they were best friends. Ahead of moving in next to each other on the infamous corridor, we think they were given a fair trial and received the compensation they were owed. Let's explore the narrative, as the subject of today's film is the youngest girl on death row. Teenager faces execution. Krista Pike, who is 18 years old at the time of her death sentencing, made history as the nation's youngest woman to receive a death sentence. Given how awful and shocking the things this young woman did were, the death sentence was an option in this case. Krista, who is now 46 years old, continues to wait for her execution on death row. She has persisted in trying to have her death sentence reduced to life in prison, nevertheless, working with her attorney. She hasn't had much luck, but things could turn around. What led Krista to end up behind bars? Krista casually revealed to a classmate while she was at Job Corps one day in January 1995 that she had chosen to murder Colleen because she just felt mean that day. Once more, the classmate didn't really take her seriously and assumed that she was merely upset about the gossip about her boyfriend. The genuine strategy was revealed as soon as they were out of sight of observers. Colleen was supposed to be killed by Krista as a sacrifice for her own fury and jealousy. Shadola, a friend of hers, kept an eye out to make sure no one was coming their way or could see what was going on. Krista brutally tortured Colleen for the following 30 minutes. While Krista was bleeding out on the ground, Colleen tried to talk to her and persuade her to stop, warning that if they let her go, she would immediately return to Florida and never return. Krista was unaffected by this. Instead, she picked up a sizable chunk of asphalt that was lying on the ground and started striking Colleen until she passed out. The three of them then returned to the dormitory after covering her body with leaves and acting normally. They did not even try to conceal Colleen's body, as they left it in a very shallow burial in the park. Pike was accused of first-degree murder and murder conspiracy. After just a few hours of deliberation, Pike was pronounced guilty on both charges on March 22, 1996. Pike was given both a death by electrocution sentence for the murder charge and a 25-year jail term for the conspiracy charge on March 30th. How did Tiffany wind up imprisoned? When Tiffany Cole was 25 years old, she was found guilty of murder after being implicated in the deaths of Reggie and Carol Sumner, who lived next door to her family and died after being buried alive and suffocating on dirt in their lungs. She has admitted that she assisted in the grave digging, but she claims that her motivation was to conceal the stuff that she, her boyfriend, a man she had known for 3 weeks, and two of his buddies stole from their victims. At Cole's trial, a psychiatrist testified that she had a history of drug and alcohol misuse as well as mental health issues. A snapshot of her celebrating after the crime was committed was shown to the jury as evidence. She received the death penalty, which she is currently challenging. Exactly why was Amelia Carr detained? When Amelia Carr and her boyfriend were found guilty of strangling his wife with duct tape and a plastic bag, she was 26 years old and 8 months pregnant with their child. Carr stated that she had already left the area when the woman was killed. However, a police interview with Carr was caught on camera after her partner confessed and implicated her in the crime. Carr is heard on the recording telling an officer that her partner urged her to try to snap her neck, after which Carr admits, "I didn't really try." She was sentenced to death after being found guilty of capital murder, although she is currently appealing the decision. According to legal experts, the appeals process for death row inmates often lasts 10 to 12 years. Cole has spent 7 years on death row, while Carr has been there for 4. Both ladies insist that the crimes for which they were found guilty were committed by their partners, not them, notwithstanding their reluctance to discuss the specifics of their appeal cases. Both claim that they are only fighting for their lives to have their executions postponed, not for their freedom. Both contest the likelihood that they will die. We're done for the day. See you folks in the following one.